Hey, what's up, you guys? Hello. I think we are live streaming on every platform, the Alpha Queen Collective YouTube channel, LinkedIn, and of course, my personal favorite Facebook page. Welcome back. Oh my goodness. Right? We had a fantastic conversation yesterday. I'm having a lot of DMs coming in based on what we spoke about yesterday. So welcome back in. This is technically episode 2 of the Cashflow Code. It's a mini series that I've decided to put together that really is helping coaches, consultants, and service-based entrepreneurs scale beyond 6 figures without burnout. Okay, that's the kicker, is like we can all grow and scale our companies, but at what cost, right? A lot of us are on the verge of burnout. We're experiencing adrenal fatigue. Oh my goodness. And you can see my dog moving the curtains there, ready to rock and roll. That's the kicker, right? Nobody wants to experience massive amounts of business success, but see their relationships fall backwards, see their health fall backwards, right? And so it's really, really important for us to understand as leaders that yes, it's important to scale and impact, but it's also important not to burn out doing it. Right. So if you're here live with me today, say, hey, girl, hey, let me know if you're in the chat. If you are catching this on a replay, just type replay so that I can come back and love on you and just kind of see what your biggest ahas and takeaways were. So yesterday in episode 1, I talked about the domino effect of quantum energetics and why your business will never outgrow the identity you are leading it with. So if you missed it, go back and watch episode 1. So ultimately, just probably scroll down and you'll find that next video that I did yesterday. It was called The Domino Effect. All right. So today we're moving into the very first wake up call, because yesterday's live training, I literally talked about there are 4 major wake up calls. And I'm not just talking like surface level shit, right? So today we're talking about the wake up call number 1. And this wake up call, when it comes to scaling with ease, creating consistent cash flow without burnout, growing our teams, leading our movements, right? It really does come down to wake up call number 1. And for me, it really comes down to powerful decision making. And trust me, you guys, the story I'm about to tell you hit me really hard. So I want to actually take you back to 2011. Okay. We were stationed in Germany. Yes, I'm a military spouse. We travel all over, right? Home is obviously Nebraska. My kids are in Nebraska. My daughter goes to college in Nebraska. My family's there. My brothers, my family, everyone's in Nebraska, right? But I am a military spouse. And in 2011, we were stationed in Germany. And I was a totally different type of woman that I am today. So back in the day, my life looked totally different. My confidence level was different. Like my self-esteem was different. Like I was just another military spouse. And I have always worked my entire life, right? Some of you know this, but I got pregnant at 15. I decided to keep my son as a sophomore, raise him up, single mama, went to school, worked full time, lived on state aid, right? Like I made some crazy decisions back when I was a lot younger. And not a lot of people thought that they made sense, but you know what? I've always learned how to trust my decision-making process. So my teenage life and my early 20s was difficult. Okay, to say the least. But there I was in Germany, right? My husband was deployed and I was not in a good place mentally or physically. Okay, I was depressed. I was on medications. I drank bottles of wine a day. And if it wasn't wine, it was margaritas with, the other military spouses on the street. Like telling you, when I say I was a different woman, I was a different woman. So my daughter had a doctor's appointment this particular day, right? And, so I got up in the morning and I walked my son to the bus stop. I got Sarah dressed and ready to rock and roll, put her in the car seat and got to the doctor's appointment. So we're sitting there at the doctor's office, right? My daughter was 2 years old at the time, which is crazy because she's like 18 now. So she was 2 years old at the time. And she was sitting right beside me playing with her doll, right? She took her little cart, her little stroller thing in. She would like, little girls play with dolls and like all the things. But there she was playing with her doll. And we went into the doctor's office, and I'm sitting down just like I am, right? Sarah's playing beside me. The doctor comes into the room and she's looking at Sarah's chart, and she alludes to something along the lines of, Sarah's a little overweight, and I think we should maybe start to watch her weight. Well, I got very defensive. I'm Puerto Rican, yeah. So like, yes, I got very defensive. I mean, think about if someone called your own child like overweight, obese, fat, whatever, right? And as someone who wasn't happy with her own life and who blamed everyone for, the life she had, made excuses for the life she wasn't living, like I was just in like this victim mode. So of course I was defensive. I didn't know how to process what I was hearing. And all I heard in my brain was, your child's overweight and you need to do something about it. Okay. So I took it personally. And at first I was like, yo, listen here, my daughter, blah, 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 blah. And she stopped me right in my tracks. And she said, Carissa, looked me square in the eye, right? She stopped and she said, Carissa, I hate to be the one to tell you this, but someone needs to. I'm going to be really honest with you, right? She then began to say, you are 5 foot tall. You are 213 pounds. You smoke 2 packs of cigarettes a day. You drink a bottle of wine at night, and you take medication that you shouldn't even be drinking on anyways. If you keep this lifestyle up, your kids won't have a mom in 10 years. I know, right? She literally gave me my death sentence that day. That was like a punch straight to the gut. I mean, I knew I was overweight. I knew I was unhealthy. I wasn't happy. I drank a lot. I smoked so much. I knew I was not in a good place, but those words like pierced me. I was mad at first, you guys. I mean, I didn't know a lot. The only emotion that I really knew how to express was anger back in my day. Okay. And I had a lot of anger as a child and as a young teen, right? And I didn't know how to express myself. And at the time, I thought if I cried and if I showed sadness, that would somehow mean that I was weak and that I was a weak mom and I couldn't handle my shit. And so all I could do was get mad. Right. I was fighting back these tears, and all I could do was get mad. And I was like, listen here, you don't get to talk to me like that. I'm leaving. Right. I picked up my daughter like a freaking football. I threw over the diaper bag and I stormed out of that doctor's office. I spent that next 20 minutes on the ride home, literally having a whole conversation with myself. I was like, how dare that woman, blah, 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 blah. Right. And all in the rearview mirror, I could see little Sarah looking at me like, what did I do wrong? Tears in her eyes because she just saw mommy upset. I'm getting to my point, guys, because if you're like, what does this have to do with decision making? Well, the very next day, I made the best decision of my entire life. Okay. So the next day, I was sitting there on the couch, cup of coffee in hand, when I looked over at a picture of my mom. And guys, for the first time in my entire life, did I see my mom. And my mom was my best friend. I had worked alongside my mom growing up. She was my hero. For the first time in my entire life, I didn't see my hero. I saw a woman who was 320 pounds. I saw stress. I saw, depression at times. I saw a hustler. I saw an entrepreneur who gave up so many memories with her kids so that she could just afford the basic things for us, right? I didn't see the hero. And right then and there, I made a powerful decision. I decided that I was going to get healthy. I decided that that doctor was right. I decided that I was worth fighting for. My kids deserved a mother. So right there in that moment, I decided to turn my life around. And here's what I want to leave you with, right? Because I made a simple decision, it changed my entire life. Here's what I learned. Entrepreneurs don't fail because of lack of knowledge. The average entrepreneur fails because of indecision, right? So many entrepreneurs sit on the fence trying to decide, waiting for clarity before they act, when in reality, clarity comes first, right? Clarity comes from action. So while you're sitting there waiting for the perfect moment to grow your business, to make a sales call, to say yes to the opportunity on stage, while you're sitting there waiting, weighing out the pros and cons, other entrepreneurs are just simply acting. They're making the sales calls. They're reaching out to people. They're saying yes to opportunities that would scare the shit out of them. So you guys, you need to stop sitting on the fence. You need to stop waiting to feel motivated. You need to stop waiting for clarity to set in, and you just need to simply act. You need to make a decision. Okay? Which is one of the reasons why I teach my clients how to make aligned decisions. Because most people just don't know how to make an aligned decision. They're making decisions based on fear, right? What people will think of them, what others will say about them. What if they're wrong? What if I'll fail? So you need to learn how to make powerful decisions as an entrepreneur, because when you do, that speeds up time. I mean, think about how much time you sit on the fence trying to decide to do something. Okay. So you need to learn how to make powerful decisions. We teach our clients a 3-step process. It's called the aligned decision matrix. It allows them to check in with their head, their heart, and their body. The head is very logical, right? When it comes to this big decision, does this align up with my values? Does it line up with my vision? Should I say yes to this? Is this a logical decision? You have to get logical, of course. Then you have to check in with your heart. I always say your heart will never steer you wrong. Your heart knows what's best. So sometimes on paper, right, logically, this decision does not make sense, but in your heart, you know what you need to do. Quick mini story about that. Prime example is when I decided to ask my husband for a divorce, my head, of course, logically said, no, Carissa, this is crazy, right? Like literally, like you've been with him for 15 years, you have 2 kids, you have a house, you should just be grateful for what you have, right? On paper, that was not a very good decision. But in my heart, I knew what was right. I knew my happiness needed to take a priority. I knew I wanted to teach my kids what a loving relationship looked like. So in my head, that wasn't the logical right decision, but my heart said yes. Okay. But there's that third piece. There's the body piece, because I believe your body holds all the wisdom it needs. It will literally tell you what is right and what is wrong, what you should do and what you shouldn't. It's that little thing that we call gut feelings, intuition. And what I love about the body, though, is, guys, is that your emotions are stored in the body. Anger, sadness, shame, guilt, mad, frustrated, they're all stored in the body. And one of the biggest emotions that is typically stored in the body, imprinted from probably a small child, is fear. And so many entrepreneurs allow fear to get in the way of their growth. I've learned how to reframe fear. When I feel fear enter the body, I know that is just excited energy. It's being stored in the body. And when I feel fear, right, when my armpits start sweating and my heart gets racing and I'm like, oh, I don't know if I should do this, I do it. That's like the cue. That's the green light that says, freaking go. Because as an entrepreneur, we need to be able to take risks. Because sometimes the paper doesn't make sense, guys. But you know deep in your gut and deep in your heart what you need to do. So when these 3 systems, right, not all of them line up, but when you have clarity, you stop chasing validation from everybody else. You stop thinking about what will others say and just follow my own heart, follow my own head, follow my own body's cues, right? So I'm curious, comment below, where in your business are you sitting in indecision right now? Are you thinking about applying for a speaking engagement, but you're too scared to do it? Are you thinking about hiring a coach, but you're like, no, I don't have enough money, right? That's a logical piece of like, I don't know if I have enough money, but your heart is like, I know I need a mentor. My gut says I need a mentor, right? Are you trying to decide, right? Maybe you're like me 7, 8 years ago. Are you trying to decide if you need to leave your husband, your partner? Are you trying to decide to hire? Are you launching a new offer? Are you trying to decide on how to raise your rates? Let me know in the comments. I can help you make an educated decision. Drop it in the chat. I'd love to know, what are you currently feeling stretched or resistant around? Every quantum leap that I've ever made in my business has started with a powerful decision. When I decided to step into my CEO identity, boom, $100,000 weeks. When I decided to go all in on sales mastery, boom, $176,000 week. When I decided to write my first book, boom, instant clarity in my message and in my story. When I decided to rock my very first stage, boom, instant confidence, right? All of these things required me to step outside of my comfort zone and make a damn decision. Because when you know how to make aligned decisions, right, you collapse time. Indecision keeps you stuck. Indecision keeps you stuck. So if you want to move faster on the success timeline, right, if you're ready to get to 10K months, 20K months, 100K months, you need to simply decide. Decide to raise your rates. Decide to work with a certain amount of people. Decide to work with a coach. Decide to launch. Decide to speak. You need some kind of a decision that will get you there. Okay? So that's all I have for you today, guys. Really, the wake-up call was you need to become a powerful decision maker in your company, in your life. All right. Tomorrow in episode 3, we're going to move into wake-up call number 2, which is all around discipline and consistency, because when you have discipline, that creates consistency, and consistency equals cash flow. If you are not where you want to be in your company, it's probably because you are not disciplined and consistent with, marketing or whatever it is that you're trying to be more consistent in. This one is so incredibly important, you guys, because consistency is the thing that most entrepreneurs struggle with. And it's the very thing that unlocks predictable sales. So don't miss it. All right. Join me tomorrow. I'll be live. And if you're ready to stop dabbling around and you're actually ready to start deciding, let's have a conversation, right? I want to encourage you to book a 15-minute audit call with me. I'm going to show you on that call exactly where you are leaving your $100,000 of cash flow on the table in your business today, and a simple decision that will turn into consistent cash flow. The link I will drop in the comments below. So, all right, guys, thank you so much for joining me. I got to go. Today was episode 2. I'll see you tomorrow for episode 3. And I hope you have the most epic day ever.